everybody. In this video I want to talk about Romanian. So how is Romanian? Where does it come from? Is it a Latin language? Is it a Slavic language? So stay tuned for that. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd be grateful if you could do so. You can do that by clicking the subscribe button below and hit the bell icon for notifications. So the Romanian language, where does it come from? So it's basically a Latin language, or I should say it's predominantly a Latin language. So it's similar to French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, etc., Catalan. And I read that apparently about 79% of the words are mutually intelligible between Romanian and Italian. So Italian is the nearest next Latin language, similar to Romanian. So for example, in Italian, you would say arrivederci or arrivedella, and in Romanian you would say la rivedere. So arrivederci, la rivedere sounds quite similar. Or excuse me, scusatema in Romanian, which sounds like scusi, scusatema. So there are lots of similarities between the two, but I think that if you were to listen to the two languages next to each other, you would find them very different sounding. So the intonations in Romanian are very much different than in Italian.
Sono andato in Sicilia per una vacanza in 1992-93.
Poți spune 200-300 de cuvinte în limba romană, limba romanești. Nu știu câte exact. Romanian is also similar to the other Latin languages, of course, so if it's got that much similarity with Italian. So apparently Italian and French are kind of similarly mutually intelligible, like about 70-80%, similar to Italian and Romanian. But the grammar is a bit different in Romanian. So there are a few different grammar differences. So for example, Romanian has 3 genders. So it has feminine, masculine and neutral. And this is the only Romance language that has this. So it's unique in that respect. If you look at Romania geographically, it's removed from the other cluster of Latin languages. There are some Slavic influences in the language as well. So apparently about 17% of the words are Slavic words. And there are some very few influences from Turkish, Hungarian, and other languages from the area. So if you look at Romania geographically, it's surrounded by Slavic languages, so you can't help but have some kind of Slavic influence. So it's bordered by Ukraine, Bulgaria and Serbia, which are all Slavic-speaking nations, and Hungary on the northwest. So interestingly, I've come across quite a few Romanian people who are from the border of Romania and Hungary, who were brought up bilingual, and their Romanian accent to me sounds very different to other Romanian speakers. And I think the Romanian language is subject to lots of different accents. So similar to if you compare all the different accents in England or the British Isles, even people find it a struggle to understand each other. You know, like someone from Newcastle and someone from Somerset would sometimes have trouble understanding each other, for example. So similar with Romanian, I believe. And those people from the Hungarian border, their Hungarian is a bit different as well. So it's quite an interesting place to be born and brought up there. So the Romanian language, the grammar in the Romanian language is a bit different to other Latin languages. So for example, the indefinite article in Latin language would come before the noun. So you'd say la porte or le chien, or so it would be the dog. Same in English. In Romanian, the indefinite article comes to the end of the word. So like hotelul would be the hotel, or restaurantul. So ul or another ending would be a or the. I said that there's a neutral gender as well. There are case endings in Romanian as well, so similar to Slavic languages. There's an accusative case in other cases. So that's quite interesting to have to learn something different there as well. Some of the words, I read that most of the basic words are more similar to Latin, but there are a few odd ones like varog, which is please, varog, and apparently that comes from a Slavic language. I haven't looked this up actually, but I've taken one of my customers' words for this because she's Romanian and we often speak Romanian. We often speak French together actually, and she's Romanian. So of the Romanian customers I have in my shop, quite a few of them speak other Latin languages. So one of them comes in my shop and speaks Italian with me, and she also speaks Spanish, but her Italian is really good. I have another customer who's fluent in Spanish, and we just speak Spanish every time she comes in. But I told her I was going to be learning Romanian, and she was quite excited. So I hope to be speaking more Romanian than Spanish with her one day. And I have another customer who speaks French with me, and her French is really good. So the other day, there was a customer in my shop who was speaking Russian on the phone to somebody, and he was actually Romanian as well. So he lived up by the Moldova, Ukraine, Moldova, Ukraine, Romanian border. And I think a lot of people there are bilingual with either Russian or Ukrainian. Incidentally, Moldova is a nation that says they speak Moldovan, and some of the people there say they speak Romanian, but it's basically the same as Romanian. I suppose there are some regional variations as well, but some Moldovan people will say it's still the Moldovan language, but it's basically Romanian. So I started off by doing UTalk in Romanian and Duolingo, and I've got this book that I looked at a while ago, and it's in French. It's an assimil, one of Guide de Conversation. So I'm going to read something from this book about the Romanian language. So let's have a look. Here it is. La langue romane. So, and I'll put some subtitles underneath. So, du latin au roman. Le roman est une langue romane, au même titre que l'italien, le français, l'espagnol, le portugais, etc. Elle est issue de latin populaire, à garder quelques particularités de la langue des Daces, et a subi vers le VIe siècle des influences slaves. La langue s'est formée grâce aux différentes dominations et aux populations qui ont envahi le territoire au cours de l'histoire. On considère que la langue romane s'est constituée vers le 8e au 9e siècle. Le plus ancien document conservé écrit en alphabet cyrillique est une lettre datant de 1521. Le romain a adopté l'alphabet latin à partir du 18e siècle. So basically, the oldest document found was in 1521, and it was in Cyrillic. So the Romanian language used to be written in Cyrillic, and it was only in the 18th century that it became Romanized. And in fact, I think it was only in the 1980s that the language went through another reauthorization. It was reauthorized anyway. I can never say that word. And some of the letters were introduced to Romanian that were foreign letters. So, for example, the letter K, and the letters Q, Y, and W, Q, W, and Y, don't really exist in Romanian words, but they exist as foreign letters. So, for example, like the country Qatar, Qatar, would be in Romanian the same spelling. So the Romanian alphabet has 5 extra letters. So it's the same as the English alphabet with the Q, W, and Y and K. And it has 5 extra letters. So there is 2 extra A vowels, an extra I vowel, and an extra S and a T. So the T with a little thing underneath is pronounced like a sort of ch sound. So it's like spunachi. So it's like S-P-U-N-A-T-I. Often the I at the end of a word is not pronounced. So there are little quirky things like this in the Romanian language that make it quite interesting. Come on, how can I not learn Romanian with juggling balls like these? So that's a bit about the Romanian language. What do I know in Romanian? Here's a little video of me speaking Romanian about a year ago, and that's my extent of Romanian. And I haven't really properly started learning yet, so please watch this space for some videos about the Romanian language. Bună ziua, ce faci? Sunt aici în casa mea. Sunt bine, sunt foarte bine. Sunt aici în mea casă 3-4 săptămâni. Astăzi ploua. Nu vreau să ies afară. Bine. Ce fel de lucruri faci în casa? Eu curat, eu mănânc. Pot spune 200-300 de cuvinte în limba românește. Nu știu câte exact. Știu să spun câteva fraze de exemplu. Îmi pare rău, îmi place limba România. Ce aș dori să faceți, ce aș dori să mănânc ceva. Eu aș dori să învăț românește mai târziu. Îmi place în România. Unde îmi place în București. Două zile. A fost bun. Bine, ok. Drum bun. La revedere. Mulțumesc.